Hey, I'm Melanie Johnson along with my co host Jen Foster. We are both 13-time best-selling authors. We've published over 2,500 books and made all of our authors #1 bestsellers. We own Elite Online Publishing. If you want to become a best-selling author, look us up at eliteonlinepublishing.com. Now, welcome to the podcast that shares secrets from top industry experts that show you how to get lasting success and results. This is the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hey, everybody, it's Melanie Johnson. It's a great day. We're so happy you're listening to our podcast today because we are always here to inspire you, motivate you, educate you, and take your business, your personal life to the next level. So please subscribe and leave us a message and share the podcast because you don't want to be the only smart person in the room, right? You want to help everybody else to be almost as smart as you. So, and we want to remind you, if you're thinking about writing a book or you're written a book and you want to become a bestseller, contact us at Elite Online Publishing because we have made every single one of our authors, over 150 of them, #1 best-selling authors. So just go to our website and click on the submission button and give us a ring and we'll get back to you. So today, I mean, everything has been changing so much. We're at the end of 2020. We're moving and starting to look forward to 2021. And the questions are like, what should I anticipate? How should I make my business successful? What should I be doing today that can prepare my business for the first quarter and all of 2021? So we have an expert. He's not started 1, 2, but 13 businesses that have all been successful. He started when he was 21 years old. He has a slew of information for us. So I can't wait to hear what he can say that can change your business, your life, and our business as well. So Marty Park, welcome. Thanks for coming to the show today.
Melanie, thanks so much for having me. Hi, Jen.
Hey, so tell us, Marty, a little bit about how you got started into building all of these companies and how you go about saying, I'm an entrepreneur. Like, how does that all work?
Sure. Actually, as Melanie alluded to, I started a company. I actually left college in my 4th year of my business program. And I said, Dad, don't worry. I'll be retired by the time everybody graduates.
Oh, no, that's just like my son that we just talked about.
Right.
So, and you didn't say that you did leave. No, say it's not so. You didn't do it.
We're telling him to stay.
Right.
So
yeah, we're telling him to stay.
Finish college and he's going to be smarter than me. But I started a software company and I was, not knowing, I would say that you start a company and you're blissfully ignorant of really what you're getting into because you realize all the moving pieces and how difficult entrepreneurship can be with the pressures of it. And but I was very fortunate. We started, my business partner, Greg, and I started a software company. We actually went from sort of playing business, doing a lot of the wrong things, to then we had to go ask Greg's dad to put a mortgage on the house so we could keep our business going. And once we had the mortgage on the house to keep things going, he started saying, I'm going to come see what you guys are doing. We're going to start having Saturday morning meetings. And then my dad started showing up. Pretty soon we had the dad's meeting on Saturday mornings. And that really became us getting coached and having some sort of an advisory board that I think was a key to us succeeding. And from there, I had a good friend who I'd known since high school who said, hey, I'm going to open up a music club, but I need a business guy. And I got into that. I'd negotiated free beer in that deal. I had some equity and free beer for as long as we had the club. And I thought this was the best negotiation of my life. I still do. And I really have got into a marketing agency because it looked compelling. I have gotten into a short time, I got into franchising, but I've chosen businesses where I thought it would be challenging and interesting. But a lot of times it's just been sort of gut feel. I've got a friend who's been very scientific about every business and a matrix that it's got to meet all these criteria. I've been much more fluid, looked at the people. Does this seem something that's interesting to me? Do I think there's opportunity to succeed? And yeah, it's led me through now 13 different companies.
Wow. All right. So much has happened this last year where everybody's had to reevaluate their business in one way or another. So looking forward, we're saying we're going to have a lot of the same moving forward, especially the first quarter. What advice are you giving entrepreneurs and business owners?
Yeah. So a couple of things, and that's a great question, Melanie. I think the challenge for us is for a lot of business owners, you work so hard to sort of standardize things and get a bit of a, you're the restaurant, like this is how we do it in the kitchen. Here's the recipe and get things out. And all of a sudden now 2020 has thrown all that into disarray, and the attitude is everything has to change. You have to be fluid. And I do like that you have to be willing to let go of the structure you've had, or anything that you thought, well, this is just sort of one of the four sides on the box of our business, that you have to be prepared to change that. I mean, much like the restaurant who is no longer able to have people dining inside, you have to figure out, how do we get the food to the curb? What do we do in terms of creating, in the next 2 days, I got to create a delivery service. What can we do? And so you have to be really flexible. And I think with that, I see owners who are immediately sort of jump back hands-on into every order, every delivery. And you need to create a little bit of space to be thinking about the business, to sort of stand back and say, well, what are guys in other industries doing that seems to be working? Because it's sometimes not your competitors that have a great idea. It's somebody else in a completely different industry. But I find that clients who have created a little bit of space, or almost created a bit of a mastermind, whether it's with friends or reaching out, but they've got people to kind of bounce ideas off of, they have the ability to be a little more adaptive and strategic.
Yeah.
And I think the last thing that has been really big for all of our clients that have been successful through 2020 has been, they were really quick to double up on their outgoing sales effort, their marketing. I mean, they've really found that, if the market got smaller or it's tougher to get those clients, it's going to mean a lot more sales and marketing effort. And I think the businesses that were still, at the beginning of 2020, were hoping on referrals or dependence on their existing customers, as some of those customers have gone away, and sometimes it could be, 30, 40, 50% of your customer base, you have to have a big engine of marketing and selling to bring that customer base back and keep your business going. And if you don't have the money because of cash constraints, then really it does come down to sales effort. But that sales and marketing focus is something I found with great businesses. They have it every single day. Like, what can we sell to who? What is our message to the market? It's ongoing content, as you guys would appreciate. But that has been the big difference for so many of the businesses we worked with. And even our business has been really good, because we very early on in February said, we're going to sort of take the fight to the market, and we're going to be adaptive, but we're going to be out there. We're going to be a lot louder voice. And I think into 2021, that's probably a great phrase, is, have a loud voice, like really let people know we're here. We're open for business. We're ready to help. It's safe to do business with us.
What would you say, like, some of those marketing tools are? What would you say to double down on in your marketing? Like, would it be advertising on, social media, or what would you say are some of the companies that you're working with are doing right now that are seeing really good results?
We've been doing a lot of companies we deal with have pretty good databases of clients, past and present, and they don't realize, like, there's a whole slew of people. A client of ours had about 800 people in their database. And we went back and said, we want you to have a phone call and have a real live personal conversation with 800 people. Of course, they were like, no, seriously, what do you want us to do? We were like, yeah, well, I know it's going to take some time, but we have time right now. As some of your customers are in lockdown or at home or they're working from home, like, we're going to make connection. When other people get quiet, we're going to actually reach out relationship wise. And I combine that with, I hate to suggest, you got to go spend a bunch of money in marketing. Although I do know that AdWords and being able to capitalize on some of the search that's happening for every product and service on the planet, that you have to get out in front of that. And maybe it means that geographically, that now you got to pull from, a couple different states. It can't just be your city or your county, that you got to cast the net bigger. But I think, if we can initiate more database work, and we've already got all these people we could make contact with, that we could be doing some local advertising. And it's tough to not knowing, everybody who might be listening, but just do more. It's not always the most expensive. I stay away from advertising and think, okay, who do you know that could be promoting you? Where can you develop an active referral program? Where can you just be really grateful? Gratitude is a huge marketing push. We're grateful for your business, and thanks for the support, and we want to see you back. All of those types of things.
What about systems, delivery, and sales systems, all the systems in business? How can people improve that to help their business streamline? Because now is the time, like you say, we are sitting back a little bit more, and maybe I loved what you said about reevaluating. So many times we're just doing the same thing over and over again. And you're like, hey, take that step back and let me see how that's working.
You know, Melanie, that's so true. And I love asking a salesperson, so tell me about your sales process. And they go, well, what do you mean? And I said, right. And so oftentimes they don't realize that they're, you know, they sort of haphazardly let the customer lead. I love that a business, so I use sales. What do you want them to do? You know, they first reach out to your business, whether it's by email or phone, like what do you, and understanding the steps you want to walk them through. What questions do you want to ask on a consistent basis? When they've answered those questions, do you move to now a Zoom meeting where it would have been live? You know, how do you make a Zoom meeting more interesting? And then after the Zoom, where do you want me to go? You know, is there, now that it's Zoom instead of live, does that create risk for the customer? But it's funny, I literally take a pen and I say, okay, let's create sort of a flow chart of boxes to identify those steps. And I found the same as consistency of service, that as the business in 2020 has been so disrupted, that oftentimes there's been change of staff, or you've got to lay people off and now you're bringing back new people, and taking a little bit of time to train people to say, wait, listen, this is what happens when somebody no longer walks in the front door of our store, but now they reach out to us on the website. Here's what we want them to do. And I found that training on those step-by-step methods and systems is one of the places it really has fallen down. That what used to be pretty static and we had a bit of a rhythm for it, you know, much like the restaurant that again used to just walk the food out to the dining room and put it on your table, now has to figure out how to get it in a package, get it out to the Uber driver. And it's like, oh, well, okay, we have to just step back. And I think it's one thing as an owner to know it, but you really got to share that and practice it with the staff.
I love that. And it really is that innovation and looking at it in a different way. And I like what you were talking about the box earlier. It's like stepping outside of the box and saying, how can we make this system work better in the situation we're in now? Like you said, what happens after Zoom, which is totally different than when you're leaving a room, right? When you're actually closing a sale, leaving a room, it's different than when you're on a Zoom call. Yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, that Zoom is, I think, such a big obstacle for so many businesses now. But a lot of people have not stopped to say, how can we make Zoom more interesting? Like, what could we do that our competitors aren't doing? So if I know that everybody is doing a Zoom call a similar way, what can we do about changing up the background? What can we do about how we present, about, you know, doing picture in picture, much like a newscaster? Can we use that tool? Do I have a presentation? One of my favorites is physical stuff. Like being able to say, Melanie, hey, I know the Starbucks is 2 blocks away from you. I've already pre-ordered a coffee. You can pick it up just before our Zoom call. You can be drinking a coffee. Or I have a client in home building who drops off a charcuterie board and wine to the front door. He gets a courier to drop it off. So the people grab the wine and then they get on the Zoom call and they're all drinking wine together and eating. And then he starts to talk about the design of their house. And so he's been able to figure out what went from a person-to-person experience. How do I incorporate that into the new digital space? And so I like that is one of a great differentiator, but it's allowing him to actually get as many new sales during 2020 as he's had in past years. And I love that innovation.
And I love, you know, like one of the hurdles that we were saying, we wanted to reach out to some of our strategic partners and send them a gift for Christmas. And we realized we don't have their addresses. We have their email, their phone number. No one gets a physical address anymore.
So true. Melanie, funny you say that. We were talking about that very thing 2 days ago. And I said, you know, we have a bunch of them. There was a few other really important sort of VIPs that we wanted to send stuff to. We didn't have all their addresses. I was like, well, let's first off get them, because I'm pretty sure if we tell them we want to send you something really big and special, they're more than willing to give the address. So there's, and I think the fact that I'd have to ask, if I say, Jen, Melanie, I'm going to send you guys something, you don't mind giving your address, as long as I follow through and when whatever I send really has a little bit of wow factor.
Exactly.
Like you guys, I think I'm big on the wow factor of things. And 2020 into 2021, my marketing, my selling, just being a little bit bold to say, what aren't other people doing? We're going to do it.
Right. I actually just got an email that said that very thing. It said, hey, I just realized I didn't have your address. Click here. And it was a 2 or 3 question survey, name, email, address. And is it okay if I send you something and had pretty much what they were going to send me, like, but not giving it away,
Sure.
you know? And of course I'm going to put in my address and say yes,
Yes.
whether if it's a book or if it's a, you know, a wine and cheese, right? Whatever it is. So
if it's a basket of wine, I'm definitely putting my name and address in.
Yes.
So I love that this be bold, have a wow factor, how to be innovative with your processes, how to take a look at all that. Let's talk about income. So many times, how does that transcend into, like, how should we be looking at ways to increase our revenue at the bottom line? What are some key factors that we should be looking at the big picture of? I mean, we talked about sales and how to maybe use different things in sales, but what should we be looking at? Like, okay, the sky is kind of fallen. How should we analyze expenses, revenue, employees, clients that maybe we should fire, you know, things like that?
Wow, there's so many critical pieces there. But I think, so let's start with a situation that I think a lot of people have undergone, right? Where they've maybe had to lay off some staff. They certainly saw sales drop earlier in 2020. Some of them are just hanging on to get through into the next year, but they're certainly not in a robust state. They've used up some cash. My big thing is, you have to think about entrepreneurship as you've created an ecosystem. You know, you have staff, you have customers, you have community, you have vendors. You're just trying to keep that whole ecosystem alive. If it means that you have to let go of some of the most difficult customers to be able to free up space, or you've had to lay off some of your favorite staff, which is such a hard thing to do. But you've got to know that you're laying off some of those people short term to maintain that ecosystem so that you can still keep your business long term. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big fan of, if revenue dropped 20%, you have to cut your expenses 20% to get back to profitability. And so as you know, revenue falls, expenses have to fall, which may in some cases mean some pretty drastic cuts. I know people that have been mandated where their businesses had to be closed for a little while. And we've done that where we've quickly moved to, like, cut everything we can to get to positive cash flow so we can live longer, even if it's in a bit of a reduced state, so that we can come back strong again. And I've got clients now that as they're hiring people back, it's a great opportunity to really make sure that everybody is absolutely an A player. So there's a bit of, if you can position it as, you know, it's been an awful struggle and terrible, we've had to downsize. Mm-hmm. Or I've had a couple of people who've shifted their mindset to be, you know, we were really sort of bloated, we weren't very efficient, and this has actually been a great opportunity for us to scale things back in order to do more. I think, Melanie, to your point about what do you do about revenue, that we had some clients that were really tied to specific industries where we've been trying to diversify. So, but to launch into a whole nother industry can take time. But I love the idea that a couple of things. I mean, we've had clients raise prices. They now are doing more in terms of delivery, or you've changed it. Sometimes clients are not as price sensitive as you think. Right now, a lot of people are convenience sensitive. Right? Amazon has set the bar pretty high for, I ordered it at 10 a.m. and it's on my doorstep at 5 p.m. So in some cases, we've been able to raise prices. Some places we have said, we've got to launch another product. I have a client that's in chemicals that got into the hand sanitizer business very quickly. And that has actually almost balanced out some of the sales they lost for their commercial products. But I look to say, what else can we do? And if you're not sure, ask your customers. I found that we're going and doing surveys with our clients, asking their clients and customers, hey, what else do you need? Has given us some really great opportunities and ideas. And it hasn't always brought back 100% of the revenue that we may have lost from the downturn of the pandemic. But it's certainly helped, and it's making it manageable. And you say, well, 2020 wasn't my greatest year, but you can still thrive in this marketplace.
I think that was a lot of great content in learning how to reposition yourself and still thrive. I think that's the key. And sometimes it forces us to do things that have been on the back burner, that we've been lazy about. And now we're forced to do changes and become more innovative because of the environment and what's going on.
Yeah, tell us, Marty. Yeah, tell us, Marty, where people can go to find you and get more information.
The easiest place is martypark.com. It's just martypark.com. I have a website for the book. I mean, you can find my book at Amazon and everywhere, but the website for the book is just tigerbythetailbook.com. specific to that. But yeah, and on social media, I'm generally at the Marty Park. Just in case there's a bunch out there, I'm the one.
The one. I love that. We'll put those in the show notes, and definitely the URL on the bottom of the video as well, so people can find you.
Terrific, thanks.
Not that I want to blow up your inbox, but I did see on LinkedIn that you had an offer for a free 30-minute consultation. So if you go to his LinkedIn, there is an offer for that. Only if you're a business owner and you feel like you could use Marty's services, go click on that and grab a few minutes with him. So thanks again for tuning in today. Remember to subscribe to our podcast. And again, if you're looking to launch your book and write a book, we can help you from start to finish, even if you're just with an idea or you've already launched a book and it never went anywhere. We can relaunch your book and make it a #1 bestseller. Just contact us at eliteonlinepublishing.com and we will see you next time. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.